What's up everybody? Today I'm going to touch on the topic of rolling out. I've been getting a lot of questions in my Instagram involving the purpose of it, kind of like how and when I do it, and how to implement it into your daily routine. So to start off, the purpose of rolling out is essentially to relieve stress and tension in your fascial tissue. Your fascial tissue is a connective tissue that surrounds your muscles and is often the cause of that sore or tight feeling that you might have, whether it be after a workout or sitting for a while, whatever the case may be. There are many benefits of rolling out, including joint range of motion, flexibility, mobility. It can prevent injury and reduce stress and soreness. And in terms of when during the day to roll out, I like to roll out both before and after my workouts. Before, it just gets your muscles nice and loose, brings blood to your muscles, allows you to be a little bit more relaxed and ready to perform those tasking movements such as like the squat, bench, and deadlift. After, like I said, it promotes recovery, prevents injury. So relieving that tension right after a workout can often make you feel a lot better the next day, kind of reduce that soreness feeling. I also like to roll out right before bed. If any problem areas formulate during the day, if you feel any tightness at the end of the day, it's a great time to kind of help, if not fix, that issue. And it also just makes you feel a lot more loose and relaxed and helps you go to bed. Okay, so you may or may not have heard the term trigger pointing before. Trigger pointing is essentially the act of foam rolling. It's applying pressure to a muscle in order to relieve stress, relieve tension, potentially pain, and allow you to move better. So I'll show you guys what I include into my daily foam rolling routine. So I usually start off rolling out low to high, which would mean starting with the calves. And I usually just start at the bottom near the Achilles. You can have 2 feet on, and if you don't feel enough pressure with 2 feet, you can just put one on top of the other to add more pressure. But essentially, you just want to roll back and forth very slowly, probably at about 1 inch per second, and just kind of look for any sensitive areas. You can change the angle of your leg, because often just having it at one angle doesn't cover as much surface area as switching the angle. So very slowly. And then once you've gone over the same area a few times, you can go up, mid-calf, again slowly. It's important to let your calf completely loose. If it's flexed or if there's any tension in there, it kind of erases the purpose. So although it might be a little bit more painful, just let it dig in as much as you can bear. Again, changing the angle, seeing if you find any trigger points. And then top of the calf. All right, and then you do the same thing for the other side. So moving on to hamstrings. Again, I start off at the bottom of the hamstring like this. Hamstrings are a little tougher to feel, so you'll definitely have to put one leg on top of the other to feel the pressure. It's important to take super deep breaths throughout this whole process, because often when you start something new like this, it kind of feels uncomfortable for your body. Your body tends to not breathe at the efficiency at which it should, and not enough oxygen gets to your muscles, and it kind of decreases the efficiency of rolling out and doesn't do its job correctly. So make sure to maintain deep breaths throughout the whole process. On to glutes. So start at the bottom. You can situate yourself like this, just essentially whatever feels most comfortable for you. And then again, slowly changing the angle. All right, and now for the quads. The quads are usually the most sensitive, so if you have access to a longer roller, you can usually do double leg, which is a lot more bearable. If you do single leg, you might have to have your leg off to the side to kind of like alleviate some of the pressure, because oftentimes for the quads, it hurts a lot, especially if you have your whole body weight on it. So finding some way to kind of take off a little bit of that pressure can make it more bearable. So I'll just do, I'll do my right leg. And once again, starting at the bottom, having your other leg out to the side just to kind of support yourself and relieve that pressure. And then it's easiest to kind of go down to a plank position to keep yourself stable. And an additional thing you can do to kind of alleviate that trigger point is once you find a sensitive area, keep your quad completely loose and dig into it for a few seconds. And you can also bend your leg. So it kind of opens it up a little bit, allows for the roller to really kind of stretch out and sink into that trigger point. All right, and then upper quad. All right, so that's kind of the majority of what I do for lower body. It's at least the basic stuff, and implementing that stuff into your daily routine, and more specifically your leg day warm-ups, like for squats and everything like that. So doing this can really loosen up your muscles and make it a lot easier to get to depth in the squat if you have any challenges with that. And yeah, I also do it before bed just because it feels a lot looser if your legs tighten up during the day. Now I'll show you guys how to roll out your thoracic spine. So often if you're a student or if you have like any kind of desk job, it's really easy to kind of like sit like this all day at the computer or whatever, at the desk. And oftentimes your thoracic spine is kind of curved over and your chest and everything kind of helps with that bad posture. So I'll kind of show you something to help kind of loosen up your thoracic spine and bend it in the other direction essentially. So it starts essentially where your ribs end is where you want to start rolling. So situate the roller in that kind of area across from your ribs, and then an entry level roll would be just kind of rolling slowly all the way to the bottom of your neck and then back. Again, go slowly. And if you want to take it a step further, if that one doesn't really do much for you, you can start it in the same spot, put your hands on your head, and then bend back slowly. And as far as you can go comfortably, you might hear a few cracks in your back. That's a good thing. Like that. Once you've done 4, slide down a little bit on the roller. You essentially want to do the same thing for each vertebrae of your spine. So yeah, that's a good thoracic spine roll. You can do that before a workout, after a workout, during the day. I do it several times a day just because I find that I often feel tight in my back, and this helps relieve that. Make sure not to do your lumbar, which is like the lower curve of your back, just because there's no ribs there to support it, and it can often strain your lower back. All right, now I'll show you guys how to do the lats. So start at the top of the arm, or at the just below the armpit. Have your arm out, and then once again roll. I like to go a couple inches there and back, changing the angle just like before. And again, once you've done a few within those few inches, move it down a little bit. Same thing. So yeah, those are also pretty sensitive. That's essentially what I use the roller for lower body, and it's using a roller is easier for kind of like the bigger muscles, but for the smaller muscles like the traps, chest, and arms, I usually go with a ball. Kind of like this. This is a lacrosse ball. You can also use a tennis ball or any kind of other small hard ball that kind of can get into those areas. So yeah, I'll show you guys my routine for this. Alright guys, so as I said, you can get into the smaller areas with the big roller. It's just a lot harder and physically inconvenient, I find. So I like to use a lacrosse ball to get into those smaller areas. And the first thing I'll tackle is the chest. So with the chest, you kind of just want to situate it against the wall so that you can move up and down comfortably. You want to explore your whole chest because trigger points can form anywhere really, depending on how often you stretch and how you stretch your chest. So that kind of just looks like this. Just go up and down, side to side, very slowly, letting your chest stay completely loose the whole time. Just explore, see if you could find a sensitive area. If you do find a sensitive area, just stay there, kind of like roll it into the wall, dig into it. If you need to access lower parts, you can just put the ball lower on the wall and it makes it a lot easier, so you don't have to go on your tippy toes or anything. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do for my chest for rolling out. Just kind of, the logic for rolling out is the same through your whole body. Just kind of move slowly and see if you can find sensitive areas. When you do find sensitive areas, just kind of like dig into them a little bit and move the joint just to access different parts of it. And then yeah, you'll feel a lot better afterwards. So now I'll do shoulders. I usually do chest and shoulders before chest days. It's because my shoulder sometimes irritates, and this often relaxes it and relieves that irritation. So start at the top. You might have to adjust the ball, go down. You want to go all the way to your insertion point into your humerus. Through all the way around your delt. So anterior, posterior, and medial, I like to hit them all. All right, now traps and back. So you can roll your back, you can roll your T-spine with the big roller like I said, but that doesn't get into the kind of like the smaller areas of your chest, like your subscapularis in between your shoulder blades and your spine, like your rhomboids, traps, stuff like that. So with your back, it's really awesome to use this ball. You can literally just explore your whole back. You'll often find tight spots where you don't feel tight, but it just feels really sensitive, and that could just be because of lack of stretching, lack of activation. So there could be many things that cause it, but it's important to kind of just like explore and see where you are tight, because it can make you feel a lot better. If you're studying a lot or have a desk job, like I said, your head's often in that forward position, which puts a lot of stress on your scalene and your traps. So those will often be super tight after like a long study session or a long day at work. And that tightness can build up over time and really kind of create a lot of trigger points in your traps. So make sure to trigger point them on a regular basis in order to kind of maintain looseness in them. There's no like specific pattern for rolling out. Just kind of explore in whatever ways you feel comfortable with, and just try to find as many trigger points as you can and just dig into them. In between and under your shoulder blades, often a common spot for trigger points too. All right. So I obviously didn't cover my whole back because that'd be pretty time consuming, but you guys get the point for that. And for triceps, I like to just, same thing, put it against the wall, roll it up and down. And then, like I said, you can, I guess you guys probably can't see this. Okay, I'll refilm it. All right, I think you guys can see it now. So for the arms, pretty much same thing. Situate the ball against the wall. Up and down, change the angles, letting your tricep or wherever you're hitting completely loose the whole time. And then I'll show you guys the bicep on this side. It's kind of hard actually. I have to go against the corner for the bicep, but same thing. That's the arms. Yeah, so that's pretty much rolling out. Summarize, that's just like a basic routine that I sometimes do. So, oh, just dropped the ball. Anyways, yeah, so if you guys have any other questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram. I'd love to answer or clarify anything for you guys, because rolling out's a super important part of my routine, and I just want to share that onto you guys so you can implement it into your life. So yeah, I hope you guys found some value from this video, and have an awesome day. Thank you.